Come, let us sit and try to relate. Because now, more than ever, we must show discipline, tolerance, and production to build a strong and better nation. I say that is the main foundation. So come, let us work hand in hand, because this is our land. Come, my brother, come, my sister, and let us build a nation together. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, Remember, the key to success is working hard. For our country, we must have regard. Forget all your differences, let we start to build.
Forget all your differences and let we start to build Carriacou, Petit Martinique, St. Patrick, and St. Mark after Hurricane Beryl devastated the housing stock, damaged the agricultural sector in so many ways. People lost their entire livelihood. People lost their homes, right? The housing stock, their homes. And we need to help rebuild. We need to put our hands to the plow. We need to get involved in the cleanup, in the relief aspect of the post-Beryl situation. Relief. And we need to rebuild back better than before. You have a lot of people out there who are complaining. You have a lot of people out there who are politically motivated. So they could see nothing good during this time. But there are a lot of Grenadians, home and abroad, who just want to see St. Patrick back to normalcy, St. Mark back to normalcy, Carriacou and Petit Martinique back to normalcy. They want to see the people, rebuild and build back smarter and better. They want to see their livelihoods restored. And people are coming to the aid regionally and internationally of Carriacou and Petit Martinique, St. Patrick and St. Mark. And we have to be proud of that. I want to start off with that piece showing $700,000+ worth of supplies from Guyana.
Guyana has once again come to Grenada's aid, this time in a collaborative effort with the Private Sector Commission of Guyana. Together, they have donated over $700,000 worth of relief supplies and building materials. On Sunday, July 14th, Prime Minister Mitchell and other members of his cabinet, along with Executive Director of the Grenada Chamber of Industry and Commerce, Pettifer Lewis, received the aid from Chair of the Guyana Private Sector Commission, Mr. Komal Singh, at the Tiro Bay port. Mr. Singh, in speaking with the GIS, says the Private Sector Commission and the Government of Guyana will continue to monitor and work closely with Grenada to help bring the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique back to normalcy. He says despite the level of devastation, life will get better with the assistance of friendly governments and the will of the people.
We have sent one vessel last Sunday to St. Vincent, and this one is here today, bringing various amount of cargo, different type of cargo. On this vessel have lots of roofing material to help bring back some of these families, with a shelter over their head. I was in Grenada, and my, PM asked me to accompany him to receive this vessel, and I take, the honor of coming here to see and get a direct feeling on the ground what has happened to this little island of Carriacou. What we have seen on camera and what I'm seeing here now is very devastating. The entire island, is pretty much in shambles. It's mashed up. The communities, you can imagine, how desperate they are right now for immediate help to bring back shelter over their head, to bring back electricity, water, basic necessity. And we from Guyana and the government and the private sector, we are very, very encouraged seeing the amounts of effort that is being put to help return back this island to normalcy. The private sector and the government of Guyana will continue to help support. The government of Guyana, I think only this morning, sent an additional set of construction workers from the army to help in the rebuilding effort of the island. And we will continue to work closely with Grenada to see how much more we can help to bring the people back to normalcy.
Prime Minister Honorable Deacon Mitchell says the relief aid from Guyana shows how strong the region can be through collaboration.
Well, I think it's, it's what's keeping us buoyant and going despite the challenging times. The support from CARICOM member states has been overwhelming, has been tremendous, and we continue to benefit from this. This is probably the single largest physical donation of relief items and restoration items. It ranges from, as you can see, water tanks to dry goods, cassava, potatoes, LPG gas, building materials, lumber, zinc sheets, generators, 19-page manifests. So it's a lot of supplies, not just for immediate relief, but also to help with some of the temporary restoration work.
The government, he says, already has a plan on how to tackle the restoration and rebuilding efforts with the assistance of the artisan squad from the Guyanese Defense Force.
The intention is to tackle some of the large government buildings to try and make sure that we can at least put them in a state where they can be used, even if it's temporarily, because there are a number of things we have to factor in. Obviously, the continued sheltering of people. If we get any adverse weather or so, we need to be able to house people still. And we need to be able to house people who are coming up for relief efforts like the soldiers and so on. So the idea here would be if we can do that sort of temporary restoration of some of the large government buildings, it will help ease the pressure on some of the existing shelters because we could have more space, and then we could begin the process of trying to actually help some of the persons whose structures might be sound or who may just need a temporary roof so that people could start going back to their homes. And then of course we have actual food items and so on to continue with feeding the population of Carriacou and Petit Martinique.
Executive Director of the GCIC, Pettifer Lewis, says her presence with the delegation was on invitation of the Prime Minister, Honorable Deacon Mitchell, who saw the need for her to engage with Mr. Singh to create further networking opportunities for the Grenada private sector.
He has quite a number of ideas that he wanted to discuss with the private sector in terms of further collaboration with Grenada, not just about relief and build back, but in terms of how we could work together to develop our economy much more. So I've had some initial conversations with him that we plan to look at in more details later, as well as to invite a delegation of business people to Guyana to further discuss collaboration for the benefit of both countries.
The government, through the National Disaster Management Agency, will continue to accept relief aid from friendly donor countries and private citizens as the recovery time in Carriacou and Petit Martinique will take significant time. 50 members of the Guyana Defense Force Artisan Squad are now in Carriacou and Petit Martinique to assist with the restoration and rebuilding process post-Hurricane Beryl. The squad was welcomed at the Maurice Bishop International Airport by Prime Minister Honorable Deacon Mitchell and Commissioner of Police Don McKenzie, and again at the Harveyville Port by Prime Minister Honorable Deacon Mitchell, Honorable Tevin Andrew, Parliamentary Representative, Honorable Karen James, Honorable Andy Williams, and Honorable Ron Redhead. Honorable Tevin Andrews, in greeting the team, expressed gratitude on behalf of the people he served for their presence on the island, which he says undoubtedly will boost their spirits.
Carriacou and Petit Martinique is 2 islands, part of Grenada, and I am the Member of Parliament responsible for those 2 islands. And as you are seeing, some parts of it, we were hit hard by the Category 4 hurricane, which destroyed us. So there's a lot of work to do, and I'm grateful and heartened to know that you are here to assist us in the recovery and rebuilding efforts. So thank you so much.
Prime Minister Honorable Deacon Mitchell, who also holds the portfolio as Minister for National Security, says not only will their presence on the island bring hope in the restoration process, but a feeling of security.
Cool, you're now in the theater. This is where Grenada, in a sense, suffered the bulk of the damage. And I think from just looking around, you probably already have a sense of what we are facing. But I think everyone here is heartened, is happy that you're here. We look forward to your support. We look forward to your solidarity. And we have no doubt that your presence will make a significant difference and an improved one in the lives of the people of Petit Martinique and Carriacou. Some, as you would understand, are still deeply traumatized by the event. So it isn't just a question of physical rebuilding, but it's a question of lifting the spirits of the people. And your presence will go a long way in doing that. So we are grateful. Thank you for coming.
Major Clifton Sam, second in charge of the Guyana Defense Force, spoke with the GIS on the role of the squad in the process. Major Sam says an assessment of the damage were undertaken by the team of 8 persons 1 week ago.
The initial reaction was the level of devastation that was here when we saw the amount of work here, and taking into consideration that the hurricane was like about five days before we got here, and we see that that the place was not they were not up to normalcy back as yet. So that was that is what took us mostly. Yes, we are very happy to help. The people here, they have been very warm, they have been very welcoming and very grateful. This is the vessel that has arrived here today with the materials for us to conduct our work, as well as we have an additional 50 troops that has landed in Grenada this morning, who will be the main workforce to come across and do the job that has to be done.
He says at this point he cannot give a timeline for the duration of the stay of the squad based on the level of destruction and the need.
The materials that we brought over here, are mainly lumber, PVC stuff to do plumbing, because what we observed that most of the damages here on the building at Carriacou happen to be the roofing. So we have zinc sheets, wood for roofing and ceiling materials, as well as plumbing materials. That would be the bulk of the work that would be done. I cannot say exactly how long it would be, but I think it would be determined on the scope of work that has to be done.
Yes, so thank you very much, Guyana. Thank you to the people of Guyana. And, we want to see that type of outreach from the opposition in Grenada. You may not be able to give a lot of material assistance, but understanding that you were in charge during Hurricane Ivan and Emily, and you have people around your party still with experience, with the knowledge, it would be good to see a similar thing happening when it comes to the opposition forces in the country. Instead of condemning, instead of criticizing, instead of trying to divide the country, instead of trying to score political points, how can you help to build back better than before? How can you help to make things easier? Because do not underestimate technology. You have these people coming from their country or countries to help rebuild St. Patrick, St. Mark, Carriacou, Petit Martinique, and they may be listening to your rhetoric, to what you are saying, and you may demotivate them. You may kill their spirit. So sometimes we have to be very careful. Yes, I know the NNP lost the elections, and yes, I know they're still hurting, and it will take some time for them to recover. But we are faced with a situation after Hurricane Beryl where we have to rebuild St. Patrick, St. Mark, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. So we must come together. We must unite behind one cause, and that cause is to get those 4 places back, well, the 2 islands and the 2 parishes back to a state of normalcy, making sure that they build back smarter and better. Because people are coming to the aid of Carriacou and Petit Martinique and Grenada. But when you look within, you see that the NNP is out to divide this country. The NNP is just hell-bent on making mischief and spreading misinformation. And people are noting that, people are observing that. And maybe they believe in the medium to long term, it would be good for them, but any political analyst, anybody who is politically savvy, will tell these people they're making a mistake. Because our beloved Prime Minister and the team, they're doing a fantastic job. We have never seen ministers of government so involved in rebuilding, in fixing, in getting stuff done like that. We have never, ever seen that in Grenada. So we are heartened, we are happy to see what is happening, and we must continue to support them in any way that we can. It is so important.
In large numbers to support the national cleanup activity in Carriacou and Petit Martinique over the weekend. Skilled laborers and machine operators also volunteered their services, resulting in the clearing of several streets and the removal of debris from roadsides. This massive cleanup drive marks the beginning of a new chapter, the rebuilding phase. Minister for Carriacou and Petit Martinique Affairs, Honorable Tevin Andrews, remarked that Hurricane Beryl's passage has given the government a unique opportunity to rebuild better, stronger and smarter.
While the cleanup is happening, aid will be distributed. While aid and cleanup is being done, the rebuilding process will start. And as I was saying to the Prime Minister, Drew and Skerrit not too long ago, an opportunity has presented itself for us to rebuild better, stronger, and smarter. Smarter in terms, in terms of climate resilience. Smarter, because we will continue to get more hurricanes. The hurricanes are going to become even more stronger, taking the climate crisis that we're experiencing. So certainly, we are going to rebuild better and stronger. When we finish rebuild Carriacou, it's going to be a different place, a better place for all. We want Carriacou and Petit Martinique to be the first blue or green, the first climate smart island in the region and might be the world. So we have to build back with purpose, with vision, with foresight, and taking into consideration the future.
He shared with GIS that while NADMA and other supportive organizations will lead the relief efforts, such as providing food, water and other essentials, his government and the ministry will concentrate on rebuilding Carriacou and Petit Martinique. The minister has set an ambitious target of 2 years for the island's reconstruction.
My target is very ambitious, 2 years. I think it's possible within 2 years. But of course the experts and so on, we have to wait for the assessment to be done, and we'll wait and see. But so far the assessment that's been done is indicating that the damage that has been done is catastrophic. There's a team that's doing an assessment. They rank the assessment from 1 to 4. 1 being not so bad, and 4 being you can't salvage anything, you can't save anything. And the majority of buildings on Petit Martinique and Carriacou is at a 4 or 3. Really bad. So the rebuilding is going to take a lot of effort and a lot of money, a lot of manpower, a lot of technical skills will be needed. But we have gotten pledge from our regional partners and getting pledge from elsewhere to assist us with the rebuilding efforts.
Volunteers at last weekend's cleanup shared their thoughts on the activity and encouraged others to lend a helping hand.
Hi, I'm Tamara. I'm from Houston, Texas. I'm a student at SGU. Yeah.
Tell us a bit about your participation today.
So today we're here with the Red Cross. We came from Grenada this morning. And we're just here cleaning up the gutters. They wanted the main road to be completely clear so we can get some drainage. We cleared out a lot of it so far, but there's a whole bunch more to be done. It's super rewarding, but super hard. We're really hot, we're sweating a lot, but we're very glad to be here. It's really rewarding, and we're glad we could take the time to do it.
I am Captain Martha Budd. I'm representing the Grenada Cadet Corps, and we're here in Carriacou to offer a helping hand, as we have been doing since the onset of Hurricane Beryl.
My name's Jess, and the organisation is called All Hands and Hearts.
My name is Peyton.
Okay. Tell me a bit about the reason why you decided to come out here today.
So we work, the organisation is a disaster relief organisation, so we follow a lot of the disasters around the world. Obviously, huge destruction caused by Hurricane Beryl, so we have sent we're part of the response team to come and assist where we can. But today, yeah, we heard that there was a big group of volunteers coming out to do a bit of clearance. Thought a great way to get involved and help out wherever we can, and we hope to continue to do this over the coming weeks.
Nice. And how many of you are out today?
There are 5 of us in total, but we are actually mobilising a group of volunteers to come and join us over the next week. So we're just bringing hands out, bringing people out to support the local communities and whatever they need doing.
Where are you from?
I'm from England.
I'm from New York, United States.
Nice. So how does it feel to be here to participate in assisting the people of Carriacou to get back to some form of normality?
It feels really powerful. I mean, seeing all these people come out from all different places, it's just really powerful. The community definitely needs a lot of help, so it's nice to see so many people, and it's nice to be a part of it.
The commitment and enthusiasm displayed by the volunteers highlight the community's resilience and determination to restore their beloved islands to their former glory.
Yes, indeed. And look, it is good to see so many people volunteering, so many groups, so many organizations volunteering their time and effort. Because at the end of the day, this is Grenada. This is our home. But what's amazing is the NNP. They're in opposition. So all these groups, they are volunteering with the national appeal made by NADMA, made by the government. Let's come out and let's clean Carriacou, let's clean Petit Martinique, let's clean up St. Patrick, let's clean up St. Mark. Let's come out and do that. But the NNP is on their programs saying this.
NNP Youth Arm in St. Patrick, they have started, the entire youth arm, but in St. Patrick, they've started a cleanup brigade. Do you understand? They've started a cleanup brigade. That is something that you see, that is how you have to pay attention and realize what people are doing, not doing so and looking for opportunity to put on jersey. You understand? Put on jersey and pose and say that they're part of cleanup campaign and clean up Grenada and whatever. Yeah, you need to clean up Grenada, clean up NDC out of Grenada.
Right, so that is the nonsense you're getting from the opposition forces in the country. So imagine those organizations that were just interviewed, who traveled from England and who traveled from, different parts of Grenada, the Cadet Corps, the Red Cross, just name it, Helping Hands, Samaritan Purse, and so on. They're out there helping to clean up and volunteer to get things back to some semblance of normalcy in Carriacou and Petit Martinique. But everything for the NNP is about them doing it for themselves. What they want out of it is political mileage. They want some controversy, and as a result, they're doing all of these things for controversy, for back and forth, for melee, for some kind of stupidness. But look at people and groups and organizations and so on. They're out there. I think the NNP, they have lost their way. When you listen to the different programs that push their agenda, It is sickening, to say the least. It is sickening. It's a good opportunity for us to come together and build this place and help our brothers and sisters in Carriacou and PT Martinique. But instead, you listen to their programs, it's all about pushing false information, misinformation, so that the people who are listening would think otherwise about what's happening in Carriacou and PT Martinique. You hear some of these people talking about the Chinese houses. The Chinese houses were damaged too. Don't think that it was spared, it was damaged too. And how many Chinese houses you have in Carriacou? Sometimes when they speak, ask them, but how many Chinese houses, Chinese low-income houses you have in Carriacou? Is it 90? Is it 100? How many people lost their homes or their roofs in Carriacou? I mean, we talk about thousands of people directly affected by the hurricane. Thousands of people. What do you want? You want a fight to get 90 houses, or do you want the folks to remain in the shelters, remain in the facilities that they are in, and let the authorities rebuild their homes, rebuild their roofs? I mean, initially it will be temporary, but then they would pump resources and so on in there to rebuild their homes, rebuild their roofs, and make it climate smart, make it more resilient, make it stronger. What do you prefer than to make controversy, make confusion for 90 houses or apartments, 90 apartments, you know, that partially damaged in many areas and instances, and from the pictures and videos that I've seen. But the NNPs out there making confusion, making bacchanal. They're trying to find every single way to do so. I listened to them on their program. They started this cooking of some food, right? As they say, it's like cooking on the block, cooking some food to go ahead and distribute. That too, they're turning it into confusion and melee. It's sickening. I think the government should prevent these people from getting anywhere close to anything in Carriacou and PT Martinique at this point in time. Because imagine the food, you know, they're cooking a little food by the side of the road. There are organizations cooking food without making a noise, without even talking about it, right? So many people doing that. But the NNP, everything for these people is some confrontation, some confusion, some bacchanal, something stupid. You know, they propose to do some potable toilets in Carriacou, because those in the Ministry of Health and the Environment ask, well, who's going to clean it? Who's going to maintain it? You want to put these things out in certain places. Who's going to clean it? Who's going to maintain it? Simple. If you're doing these things, you have to have people maintaining it and clean it. Or else you're going to cause environmental hazard to occur. You're going to worsen the situation. Then they start to go on Facebook and YouTube and other places on their programs and making that an issue. So the authorities have no reason to ask them anything. Just go and do their own thing. There's so many other organizations doing stuff without making a noise, without making any fuss. But every time the NNP is involved in something, it has to be some kind of controversy, some kind of thing, you see? And people are seeing those things. But
through the Ministry of Mobilization, Implementation and Transformation remains committed to continuous cleanup campaigns in Carriacou and PT Martinique until both islands are back to some form of normalcy. Minister Andy Williams explained that the first cleanup campaign over the weekend on the sister isles was well supported, but there is still much to be done to get the islands up from the rubble. Organizations, clubs, businesses and individuals journeyed to Carriacou on Saturday and Sunday to participate in the National Cleanup Drive, which included clearing debris, cleaning drains, cutting trees and poles to clear roadways and other critical access points.
It was really successful. We were appalled to see the amount of people that really came to Carriacou to participate in that cleanup drive. And that is the kind of support we need in this time of need, right? What we saw people came to volunteer their time, their service. People had their trucks, they came with their trucks, they came with their heavy equipment. And we also saw volunteer groups coming to Carriacou also. People from the UK, from the USA, from Canada. And it was really amazing to see. The OSPRI brought up about over 200 persons every day. And what we did is that we separated the group. One set to go to Petite Martinique, and the remainder remained in Carriacou. What we did, the aim was to really clean up the areas, the road areas, especially where the traffic and so will traverse, and we proceeded in that manner.
According to Minister Williams, the campaign will continue for as long as Carriacou needs the assistance. He commended all who assisted and encouraged them to keep the momentum going throughout the rebuilding and restoration period.
Although the campaign was successful, it is just a drop in the bucket, because to really clean up Carriacou and Petite Martinique, it would take not just 1 or 2 months or 1 or 2 days, but it would take several months, and we are committed to the task. Right, so going forward, we will be continuing with this campaign. When it comes to Petite Martinique, we had a group again was in Petite Martinique, and that group really worked hard in really ensuring that Petite Martinique is back to a state of normalcy in terms of the cleanup. We want to thank the people of Petite Martinique for coming out. They fed the people that came from Grenada. It was a joy. Everyone was talking about it, and they was happy to be in Petite Martinique. Now, again, I want to just continue by thanking everyone who came out. The Bus Association was out. We had various groups from the UK and the USA, and so they were out. And everyone.
Yes, and that is the spirit. You see, the hurricane did not spare the NNP or the NDC. The hurricane came and it affected everyone, some directly and some indirectly. You have places like St. Patrick and St. Mark, they were affected directly too. Carriacou and Petite Martinique directly. And there are some other parishes somewhat indirectly, or the damages were less severe, right? More the agricultural sector in those other parishes that were affected, damaged. And the government is working to help in the farmers, right? But I am simply saying this is a missed opportunity for the NNP. When I said early o'clock, because they experienced Hurricanes Ivan and Emily, they were in government. They should be quick to come forward and play a part in the relief and rebuilding effort. They should be front and center. In fact, Keith Mitchell should be side by side with the ministers of government and our beloved Prime Minister, working as a team to help the people of Carriacou and Petite Martinique, St. Patrick and St. Mark. And I said so early o'clock, but no, he's not interested in that. The NNP is not interested in that. The NNP is all about political mileage. How can they get in the mix and cause confusion so that people are going to think otherwise about the government? But people are seeing leadership on display by this government. They have never experienced that type of leadership before. You look at the Ministry of Health. They pull together a team quickly to go up there and assess all the health facilities so that they can start the rebuilding process.
Honorable Philip Telesford led a delegation of senior managers to the Sister Isles this week to assess infrastructural damage to health facilities. The team used the opportunity to highlight measures that will be implemented to support staff during this period. The tour of health facilities in Carriacou and Petite Martinique following the devastation caused by Hurricane Beryl is top priority for the ministry as it seeks to quickly restore healthcare delivery on the island.
This for us was a critical meeting we have planned a debriefing exercise for Tuesday of next week so that we can actually sort of evaluate what has happened here and be able to respond strategically and methodically so that the rebuilding process that will happen following this will be one that we are proud of. So we are taking a very calculative approach towards how we respond to this situation. So far in our meetings, we recognize that emotions of our staff are running high, and we recognize that we have to give them all of the support that is needed, all of the social support that is needed for themselves as employees within the Ministry of Health, as well as their families.
He said government will be adopting a systematic approach toward rebuilding to ensure structures are more resilient in the face of disasters.
The hospital is closed, right? We have, well, right now as we speak, the tarpaulin is being affixed to the roof. There was some significant damage to the roof, of course, to the entire roof. And so we are treating with that as we speak. Hopefully by the end of the day, that roof should be, reasonably covered with tarpaulin. And we want to be able to at least return to some measure of normalcy at the hospital. So we're looking at that. Presently, this Hillsborough Medical Center is really the facility in Carriacou that offers service at the moment. And so this is why everybody's down here. And so we want to be able to offer some service. Again, rebuilding the hospital in Carriacou has to be strategic. When we remove the tarpaulin with the intention to rebuild, it has to be properly administered, because we don't want to just put back the sheets on the roof. We must recognize that the hospital, the location of the hospital, is on one of the highest peaks in Carriacou. And should another event of this happen next year, for example, God forbid, that we don't want them to end in the same situation. It's either the hospital receives a concrete roof or it's relocated. Because if we are dealing with patients, especially if they are critically ill, having to move them around in this hurricane, this thing has taught us that even the steel roofs is no excuse for a hurricane, right? So we have to rebuild with all of these things in mind.
Yes, so that's good. The Ministry of Health, the Honorable Philip Telesford there, and a team in Carriacou and PT Martinique. That's good. I love to see that. All right. That is the kind of leadership you want to see when you have a disaster like this. All right. The Ministry of Finance, they had a statement.
Says there is still a significant financing gap that needs to be filled to be better able to rebuild and restore after Hurricane Beryl. Acting Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Finance, Siobhan Prudent Telesford, says although government has received millions in payouts, donations, pledges, and grants from partners and countries, the rebuilding process will require a lot more. Several key sectors were severely affected by the hurricane. PS Prudent Telesford outlined some financial options available to governments to deal with relief efforts, which include budgetary allocations, contingency funds, and risk insurance, among others.
So in each budget, there is a provision in the Public Finance Management Act that says that we have to allocate roughly 2% of revenues to a contingency fund that will be used in the event that we have an occurrence, a shock, that we didn't budget for. So in our current budget, we have an allocation of roughly 18.6 million EC dollars, or US $6.9 million that is available that we can tap into to respond immediately after a crisis occurs. In addition, we do have, obviously, the entire budget that we can make some reallocations to as well, if we deem it necessary to do so. The layer above that we have is the contingency fund that we hold with the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. That fund is financed through receipts from our Citizenship by Investment program. Particularly, it is 10% of the receipts that we get through the National Transformation Fund that is transferred to ECCB for safekeeping. And if we do have an emergency, then we can tap into those funds. The balance on that account now stands at 31.6 million EC dollars, or 11.7 million US dollars. So that's the balance as of yesterday. The layer above that, in terms of our strategy, we have a facility with the World Bank. It's a development policy credit with a catastrophe deferred drawdown option, or a CAD-DDO. It is immediately available to the government in the amount of US $20 million. So this is already agreed with the bank. In the days before the hurricane, we actually already sent a letter to the bank. So those funds are available to the government immediately for our efforts here. So that's 20 million US, or approximately 53.4 million EC dollars. And the final layer at the very top, which we heard about earlier, is the CRIF parametric insurance, where we have various policies with CRIF, and we spoke to them at length earlier in the press conference. So the payout that we received from that was 44.04 million US dollars, or approximately 118 million EC dollars.
Following the devastation caused by Hurricane Beryl on July 1st, government activated the Disaster Relief Fund to allow Grenadians in the diaspora, partners and locals to contribute towards the initiative. So far, over $1 million have been donated through wire transfers, direct deposits and online payments.
The balance on that account currently stands at 1.88 million EC dollars. Of which we had wire transfers, electronic fund transfers, or direct deposits of 1.3 million approximately. And your contributions through the pay.gov GD platform amounted to about 0.58 million EC dollars, sorry. The balance in that account also includes some donations that we got from the People's Republic of China, for instance, of US 100,000, and the government of Angola donated as well 250,000 EC dollars.
Government will continue to engage partners and financial agencies to secure more financing towards rebuilding. Finance Minister Honorable Dennis Cornwall emphasized the need for his administration to be prudent and accountable in the process of relief and rebuilding.
Carriacou alone would probably be much more than what CRIF payout is. And I do not want to talk about what is happening in the St. Patrick side of things, because again, we had significant damage in St. Patrick and St. Mark's and some parts of St. Andrews. So I'm saying all that to say, colleagues, people out there, do not think that there's a lot of money that we have received and that is going to be sufficient, or we can just go about willy-nilly spending it on all sort of things. We have to basically be prudent. We have to be able to manage what we have and to ensure that we can do what we need to do, even if we have to basically turn to other sources of financing to make sure we can rebuild Grenada, Carriacou, and Peter Martinique in a bigger and better way. Take the opportunity to ask countries in the region who have not yet been part of CRIF to come on board. You can see from the benefits that Grenada has now been receiving, that has given us the impetus and the wherewithal to continue doing what we have to do as a responsible government to make sure that we can maintain a system that allows us to benefit in the times of disaster.
Yes, so that's a very good move there, transparency. And that is what you want. You want a government who is transparent. See how the acting PS explained everything there. There's no ambiguity or any question mark. This is what we have, this is what we got, this is what we're working with. And that was lacking in government for the last 20-something years. Now we are seeing transparency on display. And as Minister Dennis Cornwall said there, do not believe that because you're hearing all these figures, the government has the money now to rebuild back better and so on. No, they are still way off from the amount required to help build back Carriacou and Petit Martinique, St. Mark and St. Patrick. All right? So let us continue to encourage our colleagues and friends and, friendly governments and so on to give generously towards rebuilding Carriacou, Petit Martinique, St. Patrick, and St. Mark. So I really love the transparency, breaking it down, because some of the folks in the media, they would ask, certain questions, but the answer many a times are given by the relevant departments and so on. But because many of those in the media, they have certain intentions or ulterior motives, sinister intent, and so on, they come clouded, right?
Agriculture and Lands, Forestry and Marine Resources spent this week conducting assessments to determine the impact of Hurricane Beryl on the agriculture sector. Assessments were completed on government estates, propagation stations, and with farmers in the 4 agricultural districts. With the impact of Hurricane Beryl, the sale of fertilizers and plants were halted as Marlborough Propagation Station suffered extensive damage to its greenhouses. Seedling nurseries experienced notable losses on germplasm plots, including the breadfruit, Boris Sorasup, corn, and bananas. Chief Agronomist Alison Haynes provides an update.
We have not had significant damage to our buildings, infrastructure, our administrative offices. I am happy to report that they're all in good condition. They were not severely damaged, by the hurricane. However, I cannot say the same for our fields, crops. We had significant damages there. We lost some of our breadfruit plants that are part of our breadfruit germplasm. We lost all of our planting, entire planting plot, as well as the banana plot, and we lost our corn germplasm. They were severely affected by it. If you look around, as I mentioned, we lost a lot of our mangoes. They fell. And so at this point, we are in recovery mode.
Haynes said the plan is to resume the sale of plants on Monday, 15th July.
We opened plant distribution just a few days before the hurricane on the 27th of June, and we sold quite a bit of plants. We had, at the opening of plant distribution, only 26 applications in for just under 2,000. And so we produced over 52,000 plants, and we had sufficient plants for the farmers based on the requests. Now with the hurricane, now with the present situation, farmers have lost their trees. We know that the demand will increase. Our technical officers are presently out in the field conducting their assessments, and I believe that we will be guided going forward. The sale and the distribution of plants will be guided by the assessment.
Right, thank you very much. They're good. So all the ministries, they are playing their part. The government apparatus is at work. We heard from the Ministry of Social Development, where they were able to successfully transfer or relocate the seniors from the Top Hill home and so on to Grenada in about 2 or 3 facilities. All right, settle them down comfortably. Caring for the seniors is very, very important. In fact, yesterday, a gentleman asked me to call to find out where his sister is located because he was so happy that they were able to relocate them, and they're in Grenada now until they build back that home, right? So I was able to do that, and he was able to locate his sister to lend some assistance and so on. So the Ministry of Social Development did a fantastic job. You saw the Ministry of Agriculture activate everything, having assessors go in the field, meet the farmers, and assess the damage so that they can be assisted, right? You heard the Minister of Agriculture, the Honorable Lennox Andrews. And then you see this goodly lady at Maribor, I think she's the person in charge there, speaking about the assessment being done there and the plans, because they were actually giving out plants or selling it at the reduced cost and fertilizer and so on. So that is good. Then you see the Ministry of Health doing the assessment and evaluating the facilities, the Ministry of Education, and the others. And folks, let me say this. The reason why the Honorable Andy Williams is more visible is because of the ministry that he heads. He has his tentacles in nearly all the ministries of government because his ministry is responsible for implementation, mobilization, implementation, and transformation. Right? So that is why he's the face. So do not assume for a moment that the other ministers of government are not doing what they're supposed to do. That's not the case. You see the Honorable Tevin Andrews. I mean, he's on the ground. He's at the forefront of this whole undertaking. Yes, we know it's his constituency, Carrick and Petit Martinique, but he has been leading from the start, right? Then you saw the Honorable Ron Redhead leading the charge. Yes, he's from the St. George Northeast constituency, but he was sent to Carriacou to spearhead, to assist in many different ways. You saw the Honorable Kieran James doing a similar thing in Carriacou and other places, right? You see the Honorable Lennox Andrews. You see the Honorable Philip Telesford. You see our beloved Prime Minister. So you see, there's this mindset, and I know where it's being perpetuated from, right? From the NNP camp, because they believe if they can exalt or promote Andy, my good friend, the Honorable Andy Williams' name more, then they may make our beloved Prime Minister feel away. But that's not the case. In fact, our beloved Prime Minister loved the fact that they are promoting him, promoting the Honorable Andy Williams, and talking a lot about what he's doing, because he is the face of the Ministry of Mobilization, Implementation, and Transformation. Right? You realize that every time our Prime Minister leaves the country, the Honorable Andy Williams is the acting Prime Minister, or will act as Prime Minister, because you know our Constitution do not have any deputy Prime Minister. All right? So either the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister can appoint anyone in the role of acting Prime Minister when he leaves. But I'm saying you need to understand what is at stake here. Right? So there are some NNP pundits and surrogates and so on. On one side of their tongue, they would attack the Honorable Andy Williams. They would say all manner of nasty, dirty things about him. Right? He had a business relationship with the Guyana Development Bank way before getting into politics. And they would be on their programs and so on. They would call other programs and attack him. Why he should get a loan from the Guyana Development Bank. He's a Grenadian, and he had a prior relationship with the bank. And a loan means that you have to pay it back. It's not free, but they would attack him there. And then on the other side of their tongue, they would try to talk nice because they want NDC supporters to feel away. There are NDC supporters who call me and say, but look at this woman and that one trying to play thing and talk in a kind of way to give us an impression and so on. And I said to them, I said, calm down. If it took Andy to get these people to talk good about him and what he's doing by having a meeting with them, or they could call him, that's okay. That's fine. Nothing is wrong with that. You hear me? It means that it was pretty easy to get them on board. Maybe he can use the same formula for other people. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing is wrong with that. But I'm saying these same people on one side of their tongue is all kind of things they're saying about the Honorable Andy Williams. And the other side of their tongue, they're trying to be nice and say nice things. So you have to kind of understand them. All right? But Andy is the face of MIT. And it's a ministry with its tentacles in all the ministries when it comes to mobilizing and you know, implementing stuff and you know, transforming stuff. That is where you would see him at work. So you have to get accustomed to that. It's not that he's doing more than the others or trying to outshine the others. No, everybody doing and playing their part. But during a time like this, you will see him more. He will be out there more, mobilizing people, organizations, resources, and so on to help transform Carriacou and Petit Martinique, transform St. Patrick and St. Mark. So you have to understand how important that ministry is, because if we didn't have a ministry like that, then you have to go through all the bottleneck, all the red tape with the other ministries, and this PS pulling here and that PS pulling here, and you have to get this signature from that one and you have to go through that one. No, the Ministry of Mobilization, Implementation, and Transformation, they could pull resources from all the different ministries. It's like a super ministry to get the job done. We go talk after. Let's get the job done. So again, it is something that you have to understand, right? Yeah, you kind of have to understand that. And I think more education needs to be out there on the real role of that ministry. Because what you would find when these people call radio programs and so on and say, well, they talked to Andy last night, or they able to reach Andy and call him and so on, then the NDC supporters in his constituency or other constituencies who trying to reach him, and because he's busy doing stuff and they can't reach him, then they start to get very angry, they start to get very upset. Well, how these NNP people could reach you and the NDC can't reach you? So you see, it requires some education and understanding, because that is what the NNP is seeking to do. They want you to kind of have divisions. They want you to be upset and angry with your own people. They want you to be bitter. They want you to feel left out. That is what they're trying to achieve. Don't underestimate the politics that's at play here. You know? Don't underestimate it, because I'm in a position where I'm getting feedback from NDC supporters and also hearing those NNP supporters, because I listen to nearly all the programs, and I listen to the same people who call in the Plead Your Cause program and talk highly about Andy. I listen to them on other programs condemning the government, condemning our beloved Prime Minister, condemning the team. So it's a balancing act. I follow keenly all the different programs in Grenada. There are people who don't have time to do that, but I do it to assess, to evaluate, to see where these folks are heading in certain, you know. So I understand. So again, I want to say to you, the Ministry of Mobilization, Implementation, and Transformation is somewhat a super ministry. Simply put, they have tentacles in nearly all the ministries to implement stuff, to mobilize stuff and people to get the job done. That's where they come in. So during this time, this disaster, Andy will be seen more. The Honorable Andy Williams will be front and center to get the job done. So do not make you believe that, well, he's the only person doing X and he's the only person doing Y. No. You see the other ministers doing their job. The Minister of Health, the Honorable Philip Tellisford, I just feature him there. They're in Carriacou doing assessments and making sure that the facilities, the health facilities, are back to where it's supposed to be. The Honorable Gloria Thomas with the Ministry of Social Development. You know, you saw what they were able to do to relocate the seniors from Carriacou and bring them to Grenada. So they're doing their job. You saw the Honorable Ron Redhead. He is an MP, but look at the role that he's playing. Crucial role. You saw the Honorable Kieran James. She's playing a pivotal role in this whole mission and in this whole, rebuilding and restoration and relief and everything of that sort. You saw the Honorable Lennox Andrews, Minister of Agriculture, playing his part. Our beloved Prime Minister is the Minister for Infrastructure and so on, works and so on and so forth. So all you need to do is to understand what is going on here. You saw the Minister of Finance, the Honorable Dennis Cornwall, playing a pivotal role in terms of getting the resources, the money and so on, and organizing what must be organized. You saw the Honorable Joseph Andel, through Foreign Affairs, getting the required resources from different embassies, different friendly governments and so on. So you have to understand what is at stake here. The NNP is trying their best to paint one minister in a particular light, but here it is. On their programs, all you need to do is to go and listen to the attacks, the bad things they're saying about the Honorable Andy Williams. So you cannot trust them no, it's about personal gratis. They want to feel good. They want to make you believe that they have some number for a minister and they could call them and they go listen to them and so on. That's what it is. And they would continue to do that because it's about personal gratis. This particular woman in particular, this Anne-Marie woman, she loves when somebody could call her. She loves this kind of personal thing. She loves that. Personal. She has the number for the minister and she could call the minister and she's walking along with the minister and sometimes you just have to just sit back and just laugh. All right? Sit back sometimes and laugh. You hear me? But the people who are politically savvy, who understand this politics, you don't make that an issue. Right? Now, she used to call that program and say all kind of things about Andy. Well, if Andy was able to meet with her or call her, or she call him and he give her listening ear, and she not calling and say all kind of nasty things about him anymore, right? All kind of stuff about the individual, then all well and good. All right? All well and good. But at the end of the day, you have to understand what is at play here. The politics. There's a lot of politics involved in how the NNP is operating. You hear me? All you need to do is to listen to some of their platforms, their programs. They're attacking government on all fronts. The NNP. Because why? They're jealous. They just hate to see how organized this young team is and the leadership that we have seen in the last many weeks and months and years, the last 2 years. And especially now, the type of leadership that we are seeing. Everybody happy. People are happy. And people are thanking God that, yes, we had Hurricane Beryl, came, it destroyed Carriacou, Petit Martinique, St. Patrick's, and Mark, but we are still thanking God that the Most Honorable Deacon Mitchell is in power. And his team, they're in power. They're young. They're energetic. They're directly involved. I experienced Hurricane Ivan. In fact, I worked thereafter in Housing Authority in terms of recovery, rebuilding, and so on. Same operation. I also worked in NADMA. I volunteered and I worked in NADMA for almost 5 years. Housing Authority, I think, about 3 or 4 years or 5 years, somewhere around there. So I know. You understand the point? I'm not guessing this. I'm not guessing this. And many of these people who are out there, I have way more training and experience than them in disaster management. But I don't make no fuss. I understand. I understand this to a T. But I'm saying to you, the NNP is playing politics during this time of disaster. Instead of coming together, instead of uniting and working together to build back Grenada, to build back Carriacou and Petit Martinique. Look at the amount of groups volunteering their time and their effort. Look at the amount of people traveling from afar to go to Carriacou and to go to Petit Martinique to build back Grenada, Carriacou and Petit Martinique. But look around. What is the NNP doing? Keith Mitchell, he has $19 million. You hear your name calling anything? Giving anything? Involving anything? Huh? Kate Lewis, she was in this party-like environment. That is how they operate. Nimrod Oliver, same kind of thing. They're not serious about rebuilding this place. They want the thing to slow down. They want chaos. They want confrontation. They want people to rise up and start to get on. But the NDC administration, they're doing a fantastic job. And you know what burning the NNP the most is the level of PR. They have a problem now with the fact that they see our beloved Prime Minister too much. And they see the Honorable Andy Williams too much. And the other ministers of government, or everything that is happening around Beryl recovery, rebuilding effort, and so on. So I want to commend GIS. I want to commend the social media team, because it's not just GIS. You have a social media presence, a team doing a fantastic job in showcasing nearly everything that's happening during this time. So again, I want to say that Petit Martinique, Carriacou, St. Patrick, and St. Mark, they're looking for our help. Not just 3 weeks after the hurricane or 10 days after the hurricane. They would need our help for the next many, 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 many years. You hear me? Initially, many, many months, and then many, many years. To bounce back, it will not be easy. But the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique, they continue to demonstrate maturity and the inner desire and will to come back to a state of normalcy. They're not standing on the sideline and watch. They are involved in the rebuilding process. And by the grace of God, Carriacou and Petit Martinique will build back stronger than before. So we have to understand what it is at stake. And the reason why I am speaking about the NNP and highlighting certain things that they're saying on their programs is really to show you that they don't care about rebuilding and building back better and so on. No, if you check out the people who are going out there and volunteer and so on, it's not the NNP. You might find one or two, but generally speaking, they're not interested in that. Their party is not in power, and you realize that their leader is kind of motivating them to behave in that kind of manner. It shouldn't be. We should understand that disasters have no color, no politics, no nothing. No religion, no nothing like that. It's about helping our people, helping humanity. So it's a lot to be desired, but we have to understand the NNP will continue to make confusion over everything. I listen to their programs. So when I speak, I'm not guessing this. They decide they go in and do some hot meals. They're making that a confusion in a bacchanal too. They go in around saying, well, some official come to them saying, well, in terms of public health and safety, right? You can't just cook food anyway on the side of the road and decide to share it for people. Because if they get sick, then what happens? It has to be properly done, right? So, because somebody may have reached out to them from Ministry of Health and so on, Health and Safety, then they make that an issue. So they call in their program, talking points, and it's what they say about that person and about the government. Because they want to make that a controversy. They decide they're going to bring some portable toilets. Again, they want to make that some melee, some bacchanal. all they were asked by the official or officials, who will clean it? Who will maintain it? That's all. But they don't want to hear that. They go on their program again and is what they're saying about those officials and the government. So they keep creating this kind of confusion. The Chinese houses, well, boy, they beating up that like a ball on a soccer field, right? But here it is. The Chinese houses were also impacted by the hurricane. And you heard the Minister of Health spoke about even metal roof. That too, with all the rafters and so on being metal, was not spared in some instances. I mean, it didn't get anything severe, but still. So I am saying it's an opportunity for us to build back this place, not make confrontation and melee over everything. Every single thing, people get fed up of that. But folks, I want to thank you very much for being a part of the program. I want to wish you all the best. Have a wonderful day.